of June 5th, 2024 of the Fitchburg Conservation Commission. The Conservation Commission has 7 members. Members are citizens residing in the city of Fitchburg. The commission is appointed by the City Council and serves on a volunteer basis. The commission collaborates with residents, businesses, and organizations to facilitate compliance with the 8 interests of the Wetlands Protection Act and the Fitchburg Wetlands Ordinance. Meetings of the commission are subject to and abide by all open meeting laws. If you would like any more information about these regulations, please feel free to ask our commissioner, our agent, or an environmental conservationist. Thank you for your commitment to conservation of our natural resources. Thank you for your patience while we navigate this hybrid meeting. The commission respects that people wishing to speak approach the podium, speak clearly into the microphone, and if remote attendees, please maintain microphones in mute for privacy. If you be advised that the public meeting is being live streamed and recorded by FATV. If a member of the audience is recording this meeting, this is your opportunity to identify yourself for the public record. Seeing none, I would like to take a roll call of members present. Commissioner Christian.
Here.
Commissioner Donnelly.
Yep.
Commissioner Wallace.
Yes.
Commissioner Tantan-Tarawat.
Present.
Commissioner Jacobs, yes. Commissioner Pelletier.
Here.
And Commissioner Satterfield is absent tonight. Okay, thank you. Commissioner Christian, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And do we have any announcements from any of the commissioners? There being none, do we have any of the public that wishes to make a public announcement of an upcoming event or any such thing? Okay, that being none, let's move on to our first hearing. This is a request for determination of applicability for 471 Mount Elam Road for an outdoor deck. And under Mass General Law, Chapter 13, Section 40, the Fitchburg Conservation Commission will open a hearing for request for determination of 471 Mount Elam Road. This is a redesign of an outdoor deck. And anyone wishing to speak? Mr. DiNatale?
Good evening. Thank you, Commissioners, for your service to the city. This is an application filed by myself and my wife. We have an existing 14 by 12 pressure-treated wood deck that was built with the house in 2013, and we are seeking to slightly expand it, tear it down, and erect instead a 16 by 20. And so there will be an additional 2 feet going into the backyard from where the existing deck currently stands. And based on the sketch that I provided just yesterday, and my apologies, the contractor provided me these drawings of what he's going to do yesterday. And the initial plans I submitted to you all was to show that the stairs were going to be moved from the side of my house, where it's far away from the wetland, and go into the backyard, the back of the deck going into the backyard. And then when he did the sketch, he noticed that it was going to encroach on the angle tip of where that delineation line is. So he strongly advised me to move it to where it currently is, keep the stairs where they are. So the stairs right now run along the left side of my house towards the front yard. And that's the submitted design revision I provided yesterday to Miss Jamie, showing that instead of putting the stairs in the back where it would encroach on the wetland, we're going to keep the stairs where they currently are, running along the side of the house, going from the going to the front of the moving to the front of the house. So in the drawings that I provided, the footings are going to be just before the line. The deck itself is going to be just at the line, and the deck is a raised structure. It's not, there's no foundation. It's not going to be on the ground level. It's going to be on the first floor above the basement level where it currently is. So the deck's going to be the same exact deck that it is now, just a couple of feet longer to the backyard and one more foot to the left. I have to go before ZBA on the 11th as well for the setback requirements. I'm happy to answer any questions you have. I don't know if any of you have seen the backyard. It's right now, as I currently sit here, it is bone dry. When we built the house in 2013 and the Mass DEP rep was present at my house to put the sign in with the number, he made a joking, I don't know if he was joking, but he made a comment to me laughing saying, if this meets a wetland designation, this must meet the most minimum because I don't even know why it's a wetland. I tried to explain to him that in heavy sustained rain periods, far away from where this deck is going, but still very close to the line, a puddle forms because my backyard does this. So the puddle forms on the far right corner. That is the only time you're going to see any standing water back there. As I said, right now, there's nothing there. So, but I want to make sure I dot my I's and cross my T's and cover all bases by coming before you, as well as the ZBA, to seek your permission, your approval for us to expand this deck a couple of feet into the backyard. Thank you.
Mr. DiNatale, thank you so much. First then, let's move to, do we have any public comment on this project? Anyone in the audience or online for public comment? Seeing none. Commissioners with questions?
No.
Commissioner Donnelly, you?
No questions.
Okay.
Comments.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, there's nothing in the topography of the backyard indicates wetland, other, if you go below grade, maybe. But he's got a lawn to the lot line, from the house to the lot line, and water, I suspect, would settle out in a bit of a dip back there. And importantly to him, and not necessarily to us or to the interest of the wetlands and his interest, that dip serves a function and gets rid of that water. Otherwise, it stays there for a good long time, and the dip is bigger, perpendicular to your settling pond. So if that stays, it'd be in his interest if that dip remains to get rid of the water. But if we're, yeah, the wetland is insignificant to our interest, I do believe, fellow commissioners.
Thank you. Do you have any other comment? Okay. Mr. DiNatale, I only have one, and I think I agree with Commissioner Donnelly that there's minimal impact to it, and it's at the very end of the buffer zone. So you're 100 feet away from where the actual wetland is. It's just in the buffer zone. So I would have no problem with expanding the deck and moving forward with that. What I would, we would ask, even though there's not going to be any heavy equipment, because I know you indicated this is all going to be done by hand, that silt fence or straw wattle, something as far as behind the deck where you're going to be working. I know in your plans, because you used your old house plans, it showed the all around the house. You don't need to go that far, just in the area behind the deck, that there should be some erosion control just in case we should get a heavy rainstorm.
Yeah, we thank you, Vice Chair. When the house was built 11 years ago, there was a silk fence put in the backyard only, with the supervision of the Mass DEP representative when he was there. And my contractor, before I even brought it up to him, he said, when he saw the plans, we're going to have to put a silk fence a couple of feet away from where we're going to be doing the work so we know the line. And he's done this a lot of times, so it was encouraging for him to offer that without me having to bring it to his attention. So he's already one step ahead of you in putting that fence up, and I'll make sure of it too.
Okay, so if we're ready to move forward, I will summarize what we have before us in this, with this project. It is 471 Mount Elam Road. We're replacing and enlarging an existing deck. Property owners are Marcus and Sarah DiNatale. This is an RDA, so there is no Mass DEP number associated, and this is based on a project sketch dated May 28th, but we'll update it to today, the June 4th or June 5th, what we have here. And I would say that we would move forward with the RDA, that it would be a negative determination, that he does not need to file a notice of intent, so it would be a negative determination on the RDA, but with the condition just to ensure that there will be a silt fence or straw wattles put up for erosion. If we are all in agreement, we're ready for a motion.
Motion to recommend a negative determination.
Second?
Second.
Second. Let's call the roll. Okay, Commissioner Christian?
Aye.
Commissioner Donnelly? Commissioner Wallace?
Aye.
Okay. Commissioner Tantantarawat? Commissioner Pelletier?
Aye.
Commissioner Jacobs? Aye. Motion passes for a negative RDA with just the condition of the silt fence or straw wattles. And you are okay to go.
Thank you very much, Commissioners, and thank you, Ms. Jamie, for helping me
You're welcome.
navigate this process.
I did want to note that I was on site today, and I agree with what everybody else said. I think this should be a negative determination.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, moving on to our next item. This is under Mass General Law, Chapter 13, Section 40, the Fitchburg Conservation Commission will reopen a hearing, notice of intent for Unitil Corporation, the Antidote ground bed on Putnam's Pond. Do we have anyone to speak on that? It was a continuation from last month. We were waiting for Mass DEP and their number.
We're waiting for Mr. Martin.
Yes, I'm here on Zoom.
Okay, Mr. Martin, do you have anything to add to previous? There were some comments from Mass DEP. Have you responded to those?
Yeah, so I submitted some responses to their comments. I also sent them to Berlin, and I also submitted some updated plans showing some erosion control wattles around the proposed trenching area.
Okay, thank you. Any final questions from any of the commissioners?
Butter notifications was one of the Mass
That was-
recommendations.
We did that the last time.
That was submitted with the original NOI. I'm not sure what happened with Mass DEP, if they didn't get the confirmation, but I had the confirmation, so I'm not sure where that question came from.
I also have the green slips back from most of the abutters. If you want me to send you those, I could do that as well for proof. But yes, I did do that on the original submission.
I'm all set, because he has that.
Oh, the list.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Commissioner Donnelly?
Now, just having read Mass DEP comments, motion to approve the project as submitted.
Okay. We have a motion to approve the project as submitted with our standard conditions. And this is based on their project number 5844, plans dated 11/17/23. Do I have a second on that motion? Second? Okay, let me call the roll. Commissioner Christian?
Aye.
Commissioner Donnelly?
Aye.
Commissioner Wallace?
Aye.
Commissioner Tantantarawat?
Aye.
Commissioner Pelletier?
Aye.
Commissioner Jacobs? Aye. Motion has passed. Mr. Martin, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Herlin, for your help in this process.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Night.
Okay, next item on the agenda is Weyerhaeuser Soil Remediation 1B Princeton Road. Under Mass General Law, Chapter 13, Section 40, the Fitchburg Conservation Commission will reopen the hearing for the notice of intent for Weyerhaeuser NR Company Soil Remediation 1B Princeton Road. And speaking on the application are?
Martin Lebo,
sort of work for WSP, a consultant, and I have Tony Rodolakis here with me, who also works for WSP.
Okay, gentlemen, thank you. I know we were just waiting from the hearing last month. We were waiting for Mass DEP to assign a number, which they did with some comments, and I understand you replied to those comments. Would you like to kind of summarize what your replies were?
We can, yes. And the comments, there are several that asked for additional detail. One was why the one area was being paved rather than a soil and vegetation. And the reason for that has to do with the actual, it's a shallow bedrock, fractured bedrock layer right near the surface. And there actually has been prior attempts to clean up PCB in that area without complete success. And so we don't believe that we can actually, without sort of tearing a lot of rock out and putting the structures, both the granite wall next to it and the active buildings, we think that essentially if we were trying to tear that much rock out to make sure we could get to a low PCB number, that there would be risk to the structures. And so under TSCA, use of an engineered cap is an approved approach. And so, this is part of the developed part of the property, so it's within an area that's been developed before 1900. So, and, right, it was used for industrial use. It has a chemical storage shed on it, which is all being removed. And so we don't believe we can get to the low numbers that would allow a soil to be placed. And so it's a couple of pages of comments getting to that, but essentially our professional opinion is we can't. We do believe we can in the other two areas, which is why we did put soil with vegetated back where we think we can attain that.
Thank you, Dr. Lebo. Do we have any commissioners that have any follow-up questions, either based on Mass DEP comment or anything that you still had from our last meeting? Commissioner Donnelly? No?
Well, I hate to dismiss DEP's comments, but it gets kind of deep and challenging to you. I don't know, beyond my scope.
I think beyond all of us. So we're, and I'm sure Dr. Lebo and Tony are working. If they still have any other questions and follow-up, you'll be working with them throughout the process. So.
Yeah, we sent the comments in to them, so they have our comments.
Okay.
And responses to it.
I don't know the size of the trees that are being removed. You said you're going to replace them now. How big are the trees coming out, and how big are 3 trees going in, red maples?
The trees that are there, one's probably a 6 to 8 inch.
All right.
The 3 of them are greater than 3 inches.
It's a 6 to 8 inch big weeds. Yeah. Okay. Yep.
Yeah, the large trees that are coming out are the oaks that are on the other side, and we're going to put in larger oaks back. Essentially, there's 3 different units that are being essentially soil remediated.
Okay. Their comment referenced 3 that
They're
were
all
not going to
in.
be replaced. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
All right.
Agent Jamie, do you have any other comments? I know you were on site the same time when we did the site walk, or do you have any additional comments?
No, I think this is going to be a great project, the continuation of a great project.
Okay, thank you. All right, I will summarize where we are with this project. Location is at 1B Princeton Road. Applicant is Weyerhaeuser. They have received their Mass DEP number, and the project is as detailed through the filing dated 4/24/24. So if there are no other comments, we can move to a motion to approve with standard conditions.
So motion to approve.
Second? Second. Thank you. I'll call the roll. Okay, Commissioner Christian.
Aye.
Commissioner Donnelly.
Aye.
Commissioner Wallace. Aye. Commissioner Tantararwat?
Aye.
Commissioner Pelletier?
Aye.
Aye. Commissioner Jacobs, aye. Notice of intent is approved with our standard order of conditions. So,
And the plan set will be the one that is updated with the comments back.
okay,
There was the trees were added on one of the plans, recognizing that, and then there were just some clarification.
okay,
So we did have a new, or a slightly changed plan set, nothing substantial, just those details.
okay. Can you just make sure that Herlin has the copy of that?
Yes.
I
You
do, the order of condition always states the revised plans.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
All right.
It was just the reference, you were
for the
referencing the four.
Yep, because I didn't have that on my notes.
Correct.
Okay,
But,
perfect.
Yeah, Herlin has those.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Have a good evening. Okay, next we have, do you want to take these all as 1, 2, and 3?
I
Because
mean,
they are,
Chris is working on all of them, so I think we should just do the bundle
okay.
together.
All right, so this will be notice of intent for AR Dream Flip. It's a 3 notice of intent filing, but it is a multi-dwelling development, single-family and duplexes. So let me begin by, under Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 13, Section 40 of the Fitchburg Conservation Commission, we open a hearing, a notice of intent for AG Dream Flip and multiple dwellings that we're going to discuss in 3 notice of intent filings. So state your name and how you're representing this project, and we will proceed.
Yes, ma'am. For the record, Chris Anderson with Hannigan Engineering, the project's representative for AG Dream Flip. So, as was previously mentioned, this is part of a overall larger project of several individual lots. And
I'm going to get the rendering up, just
Okay.
give me a minute.
yeah, no worries.
Sorry.
No worries. While Ms. Jamie's taking care of that. So this project, or a version of this project, was brought before the commission back in 2008-ish. The project included the construction of about 11 or 13 residential units. Since that time, the city has enacted the current wetland regulations under the local ordinances, as well as some changes in the wetland delineation have occurred over the time. So at this point in time, it's the intent to revamp the project in its entirety to provide for the proposed dwelling units. Just for the purposes of, I guess, going down the line chronologically, we'll start off with lot number 1. So, Herlin, if you can go to this, the first page, if you will, of this.
Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. So as you can see here, here's the existing parcel. Currently, the property is undeveloped. It was utilized in some form or fashion as a part of the industrial lot on the opposite side of the railroad, but at this point in time, it's effectively vacant. The wetland resource area was delineated by Cairn Environmental, and it's comprised of a bordering vegetated wetland, which you can see on the plan above, and a lighter green area, and the remaining area is primarily brush and woodland. Lot number 1 is proposed to be a single-family home. It'll provide access off of Fairmount Street with the appropriate utility connections within Fairmount itself. Grading will be primarily around the building. Will blend into the existing grade. The design of the foundation as well as the walkout basement are unique in that we're trying to maintain the existing plateau that currently exists on the property, so we're not disturbing the slope that's going towards the wetland area itself. It's the intent at this point in time to tie in the rear portion of the building's roof drain system to a dry well to provide a disconnect from direct discharge to the actual wetland itself and whatnot to help mitigate that impact. This project is performed in conjunction with several other parcels with a total unit count of about 9, so we are required to meet stormwater management regulations in its entirety. So this disconnect encourages providing compliance with that part of the regulation. Upon everything being said and done, the area will be loamed and seeded for permanent stabilization, and the erosion control will be straw wall and silt fence placed around the limit of construction. As part of this, no wetland disturbance will occur within the 20 or 25, or within the jurisdictional buffer zones of the ordinance. That being said, that's the primary single-family home component of everything. This project is also going before the planning board, and planning board expressed very much a significant concern about an existing paved area that's also located on the property. I guess historically the area's been kind of used as a dumping ground, and people tend to come off of Depot Road and inadvertently go into the property, for lack of a better term. So as part of this proposed project for this lot, we're intending on removing portions of the existing pavement that's located along the northerly side of the property, adjacent to Depot Road and the railroad. The pavement will be removed, area loamed and seeded for permanent stabilization with the conservation seed mix. Additional erosion controls will be placed around that area until stabilization is achieved. So that's part one of non-immediate construction-related activities. The second one is associated with lot number 2, which I think we can go switch over to now. Lot number 2 is associated with the construction of a single duplex unit. Access, again, to this one will be provided by Fairmount Street with the applicable utilities connections, as well as landscaping parameters very similar to what lot number 1 will be. We're not disturbing anything within the 20-foot buffer zone for the area, and the area will be loamed and seeded for permanent stabilization. This will utilize a walkout so that we're trying to minimize grading along the backside of the actual property itself. But to tie into what I just mentioned about lot 1, currently there's an existing old well and pump house located on the property that is effectively defunct and not utilized anymore. It poses a public hazard. If somebody were to go into it, they can easily fall into it. I can speak from personal experience. I walked into it and did not feel safe. So this was a concern raised by both by myself as well as the planning board. So it's the intent to remove this structure from the wetland area itself. The superstructure of the well house would be removed, as well as any of the piping work inside of it. And the wet wells would be crushed at the bottom of it and backfilled with crushed stone so that it doesn't have a fall hazard associated with it anymore. Currently, this well house feature is located within the wetland, unfortunately. So we would have to perform a temporary wetland alteration in order to gain access to this area to perform said work. So we are requesting a waiver specific to performing that work for the removal of the well house. Access to this area will be provided by an existing cart road that's kind of there. It's underlaid by crushed stone and some gravel, but it gets overgrown pretty quickly with knotweed. But it is currently there and goes pretty much right up to that area. So we have direct access that won't necessarily need any more alteration to wetlands or undisturbed areas. Again, that would be restored in kind in place and be temporary in nature. The third component of this project is the multifamily development, which is jurisdictional under also the planning board that we're going for now. This would entail the construction of 3 duplex units on the property. Access will be provided by a new driveway entrance off of Fairmount, which will then do a hook L-turn, if you will, into the development, which will provide access to all 3 residential units. This portion of the project would have its own sewer trunk line as well as water line and its own contained stormwater system. This would be comprised primarily of a combination of a stormwater galley system located under the parking lot area. We've located this as far away from the wetland as possible to prevent any kind of inadvertent impacts. So the actual stormwater system for that, which provides the primary means of mitigation of stormwater flows, is located just along the 100-foot buffer zone. This then discharges to a small dry detention basin on the backside of the property, which provides a further mitigation of flows so that by the time it gets towards the wetland, it provides compliance with the regulations. This area, again, will be loamed and seeded for permanent stabilization. We are proposing a riprap slope along the northerly side to help mitigate or prevent any further encroachment into the 20-foot buffer zone. and additional landscaping provisions will also be applied. At this time, we have received DEP file numbers. They came in Friday morning, and unfortunately, I have not been able to formally respond to them right at this moment in time. Pretty much most of the comments can be addressed simply through clarification and description, but I understand that obviously these need to be addressed before the commission can close, so we'll be requesting a continuance from tonight's meeting. But we wanted to get initial comment and feedback from the commission members as well as the public if present. That being said, if there's any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them.
Chris, thank you. At this time, let's open the hearing for public comment. Is there anyone here tonight or online that would like to make public comment on this proposed project? There being none, you don't see anybody else, really? Okay, then let's open it to the floor for commissioners. Commissioner Donnelly?
Observation and clarification. I think the plan that I'm reading, and I suspect we all got, it lists 1 through 9 lots. And the presentation here tonight is lot 1, 2, 3. It's not clear, well, I'm clear on it. I was at the planning board hearing, but they represent lot 6, 7, 6, 7, and 8. Did anyone get lost in that translation with the presentation?
Yes, I would say
found
yes,
yourself?
because there are, Chris, and see if I explain this right, there are 9 lots, and part of what we have here is not explained, I think, well enough. How did those lots then convert to Lot 1, Lot 2, and Lot 3 of the NOIs?
Yep. So absolutely. So as I stated earlier, the project is old. Back when it was originally approved, they create individual lots for each individual unit. So at this point in time, those lots physically exist in the world. Because of how everything's changed over the last, 10 plus years, those lots are going to eventually be consolidated through an A&R process with the planning board to reflect the lots that are shown now. So we're consolidating those 9 lots into 3 lots themselves. So upon favorable decisions by the commission and the planning board, that action will take place. And that will be the primary means by transferring deed and title of the properties themselves. The reason why we've split up the submission is purely from a title perspective. In the past, in larger projects, we've found that when it comes to title work and everything like that, if we lump sum the project as a whole into one permit, it's very difficult to segregate it if, for example, the single-family home gets built first and they need to move in and they need a COC to close out that portion of the project. It creates a little bit more of a clerical difficulty trying to convey that. So by separating the lots, we can say that Lot 1 is done, and COC can be issued. Lot 2 can be done, Lot 3 can be done, and separate from one another, so that from a title perspective, it's a cleaner process.
To the commission's interest, so we had a little same situation, Sheldon Road, 1 through 9, then it went to, we changed it. It wouldn't hurt you, or no sweat, even no cost, to re-identify, to identify those lots as 1, 2, 3 on the plan submitted, and call 6, 7, and 8 on the other end. Can you just rename those A&R lots, 6, 7, and 8, and name these? Because we've got 1, 2, 3 in front of us, but we don't have a plan that indicates you're not talking about 1, 2, and 3. And this isn't the first meeting, and it won't be the last. Excuse me, it is the first meeting. It won't be the last meeting. Can we call it what it is on the plan, 1, 2, and 3, instead of calling 6, 7, and 8, 1, 2, and 3? It doesn't jive. Can you do that for us? Call 6, 7, and 8, 1, 2, and 3 on a plan with the stroke of a keyboard.
I could take a look at that, doing that.
Yeah, because Chris, in the NOI filing, the assessor's map lots are all listed there. So like Lot 1 is 871-1, 871-2, 744-46-2, 3, 4, and 5. That is Lot 1. So take all of that out and show us Lot 1.
Well, call it what it is, either on this document that you gave us or on the plan. They should be consistent, shouldn't they?
We can take a look at that.
Would you please?
No, I'll definitely take a look at it. My only concern is that they've been advertised as Lot 1, 2, and 3, but I think I might find a way to make it clear to the commission and anybody who looks at the plans in the future how that works. That's my only concern at this point.
Well, we would prefer to leave it lots 1, 2, and 3 because that's the way the NOI was filed.
Yeah, so I might just do AKA lot number 6, 7, or whatever it may be correlated to.
Yeah.
Just as a note, just so that anybody who's looking at the plan can follow suit, if
Yeah,
that is
thanks.
amendable.
And then the other thing is that on-site walk is recommended.
Okay. Chris, I have I have a few questions, actually. In looking at the plans, you can see that the slope is very steep, and anybody that has driven by there, we've all looked at it already and know that the slope is very steep. I assume that there's going to be fill that's going to be necessary to bring those lots up to grade with Fairmont Street?
Yes, there would be.
Okay. So can you tell me right now what the percentage of the slope is now heading into the wetland in the backside of the property and what it's going to be after you fill?
Absolutely. I can ballpark it for you right now, but I can give you a real answer in the next meeting. So it appears that the existing slope is somewhere between 5 and 10%, depending on where you are sitting on the property.
Okay. And what will it be after the fill?
So, sorry, I had a moment. And then in lot 1, it's about a 3-to-1 slope as it stands right now. Lot 2 and 3 have the 5 to 10. Depending on where you are, we maintain a 3-to-1 slope, specific around lot 2. The side slope going towards flag A21.
I can change it for you. Just bear with me, this is...
No worries. So on lot 2, if you will, the middle lot, as you face, going along the westerly side of the building, that's about a 3-to-1 slope. On the easterly side, it's probably around a 4-to-1 slope. And then by the time you get to the back, it kind of just blends into natural grade. So it's a less than a 5% slope. Lot number 3, the slope along the immediate backside between the left and middle building, if you will, that is a riprap slope. So that's a 1.5 to 1%. That's
And can you convert that to percentage-wise? What percentage does that make that?
that is 75%.
Okay.
And the way that
Pretty steep. It's still going to be pretty steep with the fill.
it will be pretty steep with this fill, that's true. But the way the site's been graded, there's no direct runoff coming from paved areas directly onto that slope. So the only runoff that's generated on that slope is whatever falls directly onto it. In addition to that, it's a riprap slope, so it utilizes larger stone and block in order to stabilize that so there's no overturn or anything like that. So that's a pretty generic principle for stabilization of a slope and other projects. As you go around the building itself, that 1.5 to 1 slope does blend in between the two buildings, and by the time you get between the middle and the right building, it's a 5 to 1 slope because we have to provide access to that detention basin in the back portion of the property for maintenance purposes. And then that blends into the natural grade as well.
Okay, so that leads me to my next question, the detention basin and the dry well or the storage, the system that's in here. Are these sale units or rental units?
That's to be determined at this point in time.
So who will be responsible for operation and maintenance of the detention basin and the dry well?
So if the units are physically sold, an HOA will be created that will have regular dues that are paid to the maintenance of the facility. That's already has to be kind of created anyway because there are sewer and water features on the site that need to be maintained as well as landscaping features. So an HOA will be developed for that itself. If it's a rental, the property management owner of the property itself would be the primary party responsible for that maintenance.
Okay. The temporary access, that's to get to the pump house, correct?
Correct, purely for access to the well house.
And there really is no plan for wetlands replication? It was just loomed and seeded with a wetlands mix?
Correct. We're working with the wetland scientist to get a formal replication plan. He wasn't able to get it in time for the filing. But because it's temporary in nature, it's going to be a very short period of time that the work is performed. So it's the intent that that alteration would be replicated in place.
So that, I mean, that literally, that temporary access is not in a buffer zone, that's in the wetland.
Correct.
Are there going to be what mitigation will be taking the timber mats for crossing that area? Do you know, or are there any plans in place for how you will mitigate any damage done by equipment brought into that area?
So typically these sorts of things are accommodated with timber mats or rubber mats of some sort, just to keep the machines up and away from the wetlands themselves. That was going to be part of the replication restoration plan.
Right, but it's also not detailed in the plans here yet.
Right.
So if you want to include that in any updates, how you're going to deal with that, should we allow it? And again, that's should we allow it. The other point that I would make is that all of this, they are asking for waivers because you are going to be grading into the 20-foot no disturb and within the 25-foot no build. I know our chairperson is not here tonight. She's out ill. But I will tell you, she will tell you, those waivers are not generally granted to private construction. The only time, I've been on the commission for almost 3 years now, and I have never seen one, except for, Commissioner Donnelly, you will have history of this. Commissioner Satterfield said they did it once for a basketball court, probably at Coolidge Park, because that was in the public interest. So it is not generally granted. We do not generally grant waivers for any disturbance.
By way of history, I voted against it.
And Commissioner Donnelly voted against it.
Yes, that's correct. Yes, I'm very familiar with that. I've been before the commission many times. And in our narrative, we've kind of went over it. It is, in our opinion, a public safety improvement because it is a fall hazard on the property. So that's how we are proposing it. Obviously, if the commission doesn't feel that's necessary, by all means. This was a request made by the planning board, so we're trying to honor their concerns.
Well, but we're not talking just generally about that temporary road and the well pump that's being, this is all the encroachment beyond that in the development within the 20 and 25-foot no disturbed areas.
So there's no disturbance for the actual physical construction within the 20 or the 20-foot buffers.
But there is clearing and there is grading that's going to take place within that.
Not within the 20-foot buffer zone, no.
Up to it.
Up to it, yes.
So you're in the 25-foot buffer.
Correct. So that we're honoring the 25-foot no build zone, but we are performing some grading work within the 20 to 25 buffer zone.
Okay.
So the only waiver we would be requesting is to perform the physical work to remove the existing pavement near Depot Road, because I believe there's a small portion there, as well as removing this existing well house.
And I have one more comment for fellow commissioners. This project is so critical that the wetlands are identified properly. I think one of the first things that I would recommend we do going forward is to request a peer review of the wetlands delineation. We want to make sure, and I'm not saying that Karen Environmental, they're a company that's been around for a long time and they've done a lot of work, but we want to be sure, because 5 or 10 feet either way in this parcel means a lot, because there is just no room for error. And we will discuss that as we go forward. We'll see if but so does anyone have any comment or want to have any further discussion about requesting a peer review of the delineation?
I think that would be legit, knowing the site. It came before us in the past, and it was a problem then. Things haven't changed a heck of a lot over there. I will say that the planning board respects the Conservation Commission's comments going forward, but they're also pretty concerned about the well house and having the well house removed. Yeah. So in their interest and in everybody's interest, removal of the well house would be, it should be looked on favorably.
Agent Jamie, do you have any other comments that you'd like to add?
I don't want to speak on behalf of DPW, but Commissioner Erickson did make comment to me personally saying that there are severe water issues on those parcels, and he would like to present some comments to the commission, and I'm thinking that he's requesting that we request a continuance.
Yeah,
Which
I
I
think
would-
it's pretty much understood
Correct,
that we're
yeah.
going to.
I just wanted to make that point. And two, just for Chris, our GIS, have you looked at our GIS at all?
I do on occasion.
Okay, so our GIS has a bigger delineation of wetlands on that parcel. I think it would be in between lot 2 and 3. So I'm not sure what the accuracy of it is, because it's very dense. When I drove by there today, you can barely get it on that site. It's very, very dense. But I would agree with what Commissioner Jacobs said and maybe get a peer review for the delineation, only so that we can have some accuracy, because GIS is updated by Mass GIS, and I don't know what they have, but it looks like the delineated wetlands on our GIS system is bigger. We just upgraded to Near Map yesterday, and it's reflective on that.
That being the case, you may need to redesign or rethink maybe the density, the number of units, all of that. But to me, the first thing is we need to be sure that where the wetlands are delineated, particularly on these parcels, we need to confirm that that is correct.
Nope, absolutely.
Okay. So then let's start with, can I have a motion to request a peer review for the wetlands delineation for these projects?
Motion to request a peer review for the project.
All right, second?
Second.
Okay, let me take a roll. Commissioner Christian?
Aye.
Commissioner Donnelly?
Aye.
Commissioner Wallace?
Aye.
Commissioner Tantan-Tarawat?
Aye.
Commissioner Pelletier?
Aye.
Commissioner Jacobs? All right, so Chris, you will work with Herlin and then to come to an agreement on who will provide the delineation and go forward. And then I think we are all in agreement that, now we have no meeting in July, so this will be continued to August.
Okay.
And that'll also give, I don't know that we'll have the wetlands delineated by then either, but it will give Commissioner Erickson time to comment, review the plans, look at the wetlands delineation again, make the adjustments that Commissioner Donnelly asked for. So we still have a lot to review.
And I've been working with DPW because they've had initial comment, and we had a meeting with them. So for Commissioner Erickson to make a comment already outside of that initial conversation, I'll reach out to him directly and see what we can do to alleviate his concerns. But the personnel at DPW that I did talk to, they did relay that they do have significant drainage issues on Fairmount Street, which is systemic to the actual roadway itself. So,
Right, okay.
yeah, we are very much aware of that concern.
All right, so do I have a motion that we're going to continue the notice of intents for Lot 1, 2, and 3 to our August,
Motion to continue to our
August
next
meeting.
August meeting.
and I have that date somewhere.
First Wednesday in August.
Yeah,
Third.
Chris will get you that date. I don't have it right
think it's like
hand.
the third or
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, and call the roll. Commissioner Christian?
Aye.
Commissioner Donnelly?
Aye.
Commissioner Wallace?
Aye.
Commissioner Tantan-Tarawat?
Aye.
Commissioner Pelletier?
Aye.
Commissioner Jacobs? Aye. So we will see you
August 7th.
August 7th. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much.
Okay. Next up, let me just get rid of all of these. We would like to open a public hearing to update the Wetlands Protection Ordinance Rules and Fees Regulation Schedule. And let me to my page where I can formally do that. Under Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 13, Section 40, the Fitchburg Conservation Commission will open a hearing for discussion on wetlands protection, ordinance, rules, regulations, and fee schedule. Ms. Jamie, would you like to speak on that?
Sure. I'm just going to pull it up, if you guys don't mind sharing. Just bear with me as I share the screen, please. Thank you for your patience, everybody. There's a lag in between what I can do electronically and what's reflected on our screen. So this is a proposed fee schedule for the Fitchburg Conservation Commission. A few months ago, I reached out to our legal department in regards to fees that are applied to applicants when the permitting process starts for the Conservation Commission. And in actuality, we didn't have some fees in place, and she advised that the Conservation Commission is self-sufficient enough where they can determine their own fee schedule. So then I proceeded to ask a few of other conservation agents with equivalent socioeconomics through a listserv that I'm part of. And I was able to contact people from the town of Lowell, Westminster, Gardner, Holden, and with all that information, I put together a list that reflects, I feel like, an appropriate fee schedule that we can implement starting for effective for the August meeting. And I presented it to the commission, and if you guys have any opinions on it, if you guys have remarks, I think the fees are appropriate for our town and city, our city, and I think they're very reasonable compared to what other towns charge. I found out that other cities and towns charge site visit walks, fees for site visits, which I thought was pretty interesting. We will not be doing that, but just as a heads up.
Why won't we be doing that?
Why won't we? I think we are trying to be amicable, and we are not trying to be a hurdle in this process. We are a commission. I myself consider myself an extension of the commission to the public, and I want to make things as easy as possible for them, making sure we do abide by the rules and regulations. And I think a site walk visit is a little too much, a charge for that.
Can you simply go down, excuse me, the application? Can you tell me what they currently are as opposed to your proposal?
Sure. So for a notice of intent, it would stay the same. For the notice of intent, we currently charge the city share and we charge the state share of the filing fee that goes to Mass DEP and the city share of the filing fee, which is, it has not changed. That will not change at all. For the ANRAD, we don't have a filing fee for that currently, and that would be Category 7, would be $100. So it's a confirmation of a wetland resource area. And then our RDA, the request for determination of applicability, there are 4 separate categories. An addition is Category 8. A new single-family dwelling would be Category 9, and so on, 10, 11. Right now, the flat rate for the RDA is $25. I think $150 is suffice, considering that we are now adding boilerplate conditions, the time work, the processing, the public hearing fees. That was never included in that. So people were paying $25, and all that work was summed into a $25 boilerplate.
That $25 reflected an advertisement in a local newspaper.
Correct.
Okay, so in the interest of getting along, they're pretty steep for a request for determination. Do I have to file, and we send them out of here with a blessing they don't have to? $150 to get a blessing when they don't have to file, that's a lot of money.
But it's equivalent to what everybody else is charging right now, too. So
Maybe they're wrong. I'm simply saying that if I wanted to do a project and I wanted to be a good citizen and I wanted to run it by you first, you're going to charge me $150 for you to tell me thanks, but you don't need our blessing. It's a lot of money for me to spend to get you to tell me thanks for being a good citizen, but you don't need our blessing. It just is. One man's opinion. $150 when I don't have to file. And you just confirmed that. I don't have to file, and now I leave, but it cost me $150 to get that. It's a little bit tough. It's government. I don't like that.
I think that if it were $150 with you submitting paperwork and coming in front of the commission and saying, you don't have to file, that would be great. But I think there's still a lot of work that goes into that. I still have to perform a site walk. I still have to review the materials. And there is an advertising fee that's $130. That it's not charged for the RDA. It's combined into this fee.
I'll buy that. It's a lot of money. It's unfortunate. I understand it has to be advertised, and somebody's got to pay for it. And it lends itself to take a chance, pay $300 for a violation, and then find out,
Or pay the $150.
I get it. I get it. I'm only talking out loud to everybody, and you understand, right? Yeah,
Of course
everybody
I
gets
do.
it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. Continue. Thank you, and I'm sorry. I appreciate that.
The certificate of compliance, right now, we are not charging certificates for compliance. We're not charging for certificates of compliance, and I realize that we are the only city that is not charging for them. Every other city in town charges you for a certificate of compliance.
What's an equivalent municipal lien certificate? What's that cost?
I think it's $80.
Okay, fine. We're in line. Yep. Okay.
And then it just goes by the type of structure, residential, non-residential subdivision. I think this fee actually holds people accountable in some sort of way. If they have to pay for it, they're going to want to get it. An extension request, we don't charge for extension requests, even though the same amount of work is put in as an original filing. So that's $100 for residential and $200 for commercial and subdivision. An enforcement order to recommence work. So if you issue a cease and desist, aside from your fine, you would be liable to pay $100. And new residents or other, it goes $300 and $500. This is also something that every other city is charging, and we are not. I question this a little bit, because if we're issuing an enforcement order, there's usually a fine attached to that. But to commence work, to verify that whatever the violation was remediated and you can continue your work, this is where the $100 comes in. So it's basically a permit to recommence work. A request for amended order of conditions is the same as a filing fee. We had been charging $0, even though, again, the same amount of work as an NOI is put in for an amended order of conditions. And then legal advertisements for NOIs will be $130. And we have no land disturbance signs that sometimes are added to the conditions of the order of conditions. And we had not been charging, and they're really expensive. We got 100 signs. They're 2x4 placards, bright red, that say no land disturbance beyond this point. And I think they were $1,500. So I think we should be charging minimum $10 for each sign.
To cover the cost of the.
To cover the cost.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And it does cover the cost.
Yes.
Okay, fine. And then my last question, sorry. You don't have the answer, I suspect, but can we keep our ear to the ground? We find out if there are fewer violations in other communities that do pass on cost on to that entity. If there are fewer violations because it hits them in the pocketbook by fee schedule, because that would be good. We don't need the money.
Correct.
We need the performance.
Compliance. And the other thing is that it's going to be posted, the fee schedule is there. So as a builder, as a resident comes in, they're going to see that online to say, okay, this is what it's going to cost me, and they'll know upfront what is expected of them. So,
Motion to accept that as part of our rules and regulations
if
of the
I can hold you
Fitchburg.
for 1 minute, because I didn't address public comment. Does anybody wish to make any public comment on our posting and updating of our fee schedule? And then we are so moved, ready for a motion.
Yeah, rules and regulations to the Fitchburg Wetlands Ordinance. Recommend accepting the fee schedule prepared by Berlin.
Second?
Second.
Okay. Call the roll. Commissioner Christian?
Aye.
Commissioner Donnelly?
Aye.
Commissioner Wallace?
Aye.
Commissioner Tantan-Tarawat?
Aye.
Commissioner Pelletier?
Aye.
Commissioner Jacobs? Aye. So approved. Commissioner Agent Jamie, thank you very much.
How is that addressed according to ordinance and council? How does it has to be reflected in the ordinance rules and regs?
Correct, and it does not require approval from council.
What about advertising and/or implementation into the ordinance?
We just have to record it at the city clerk's office.
Okay, fine.
Okay, very good. So that ends our public hearing. Moving on to other business, we have the update on the Forest Legacy Program.
I think we have Anna here.
Anna Wilkins
Yes.
online?
No, she's right here.
Oh, sorry. And Commissioner Christian is recusing himself from this discussion.
Good evening, everyone. My name's Anna Wilkins, and I work with North County Land Trust, and I know some of you from previous projects here in the city, but if you don't know who I am, I wanted to introduce myself because this is a very exciting project that started back in 2021 and has continued on. And so we just wanted to reconnect with you all, since this is a project that is important to the city of Fitchburg and one that is important for this commission. So I hope you got the summary of the project, and I wanted to make sure that that we all connected about where we're at with the project, and make sure that everyone is still as excited about it as I am, and the community really should be. So do we need to review, or did you all get to look at it?
Anna, I did get to look at it, but can you just explain a little bit for those of us who are kind of new to the program, a little bit about what the intent of the Forest Legacy Program is and what it's all about?
Yeah, absolutely. So Forest Legacy is administered through the U.S. Forest Service. So it's a federal grant program. And basically what the Forest Service has said is that our private forest lands are really important to protect. And so the federal government has put up a lot of money to put together tracts of forest land that they can protect that will remain forest land, because across the country this has been a priority. Here in New England, the program is particularly tricky to administer because you need a minimum of 1,000 acres to be considered for the program. Out in the West, where you can have one ranch owner with 15,000 acres, and so it's pretty easy. But here in New England, the way that we get to access those federal funds is by pulling together a group of landowners and municipalities and state agencies that want to participate in the program. The nice thing about it is that it's a 75% match, and their contributions that fill in that 25% match can be counted from landowner value contributions, so in-kind valuation. This makes it extremely attractive because for a project like this, we can take, we can basically, for no cost to the city, preserve a lot of land. So back in 2021, the Squanicook, Nissitissit, I'm getting the acronyms, or all of the rivers, but there's the Wild and Scenic Stewardship Council for the Nashua River put together a forest legacy application. At that time, Jassy Bratko was working for the North County Land Trust and worked with the commission at that time and the Christians to put together this tract as part of that application. The application is, at that time, it was funded at number, I think, 15 out of 30 projects in the nation. So it was pretty high, but it wasn't high enough to get funded. And so they reworked it and resubmitted it, and then in this next round, it got funded. So now we're working with this application with all of the partners that pulled together. So the Christians are tract 10. There are 20 tracks in this application across the Wild and Scenic watershed. So I don't know if I've confused you more or if you're starting to get the picture. But this Forest Legacy project is basically pulling the Forest Service federal dollars and bringing them on the ground here in Fitchburg to conserve land here in Fitchburg. So, back in 2021, the commission was briefed by Jassy and signed on to participate. It's been a hot minute. Jassy retired. We had another conservation land protection specialist working on the project for a while. That person left. I have been in with the organization for 7 years. I am now the contact person for this project and wanted to make sure that everybody knew we're still going forward with this project. It's still going on, and you all are key parts of it. And wanted to just reconnect and tell you where we're at and make sure that we're still all on board. Are there other questions about the land itself? Is highly valuable from an ecological standpoint and natural conservation, from a conservation standpoint. And I can talk more about that, or unless you have seen the maps and want to know more.
Do you know when everything will be finalized, that it will actually go into, I don't want to call it a conservation restriction, but when it will be secured in the program?
Yeah. So it actually is a conservation restriction, and the commission will hold the conservation restriction. The piece of the process basically is that the funding is stateside. So the grant has been awarded. DCR is holding on to the Forest Legacy funds. We're now working through DCR and their Forest Legacy department. Right now we're working on getting the due diligence documents. North County Land Trust is footing the bill for those. We will get reimbursed, but we're not asking the city for any money to do any due diligence. So once we get the survey, the title search done, that goes then to DCR. They get a Yellow Book appraisal. The Yellow Book appraisal is more robust than just a regular appraisal, and it meets the federal standards. Basically, the federal government wants to ensure that we're not overpaying with tax dollars, people's dollars. And they take into account a lot of, how vulnerable is it for development and a whole host of other things. So once we get that Yellow Book appraisal back, the landowners get to review that, and they are able to accept that or not. If they don't accept that, then we would withdraw the tract from the application. And that's completely that's one of the fun parts of my job, I think, is working with the landowner and getting to know the land and getting to know the value of the land and understanding it. But so if they say, yes, this is what we want to do, then we would move forward. The draft conservation restriction would then go to the state for approval, and then would come back and would be signed off from everybody, and then we'd have the land conserved permanently.
And it's a wonderful program, and it's so, great that we could take advantage of the federal funds that help contribute to be able to do this, because, every city and town is losing so much green space so quickly that to have this remain is a great opportunity. Do any other commissioners have questions? Commissioner Donnelly?
Yeah, I have a comment, observation, and a question. My comment, several years ago, I was asked to write a letter of support for the Scenic and Wild Rivers by Martha Morgan and Nashua River Watershed on behalf of Ducks Unlimited, and that's just what I did. My observation to you is that you mentioned no cost to the city. And so the question is if there were a cost to the city would have to make a value decision. So I question the city's value decision if it costs them money. And what can you tell us beyond the cost of community service, the value of open space and or forest in Fitchburg is? And I need you to educate us to be able to share with the rest of the world the value of this program.
That's a great question. And I think, can I ask a clarifying question? Are you talking about just to City of Fitchburg residents or more broadly speaking?
Well, selfish Fitchburg residents.
Fitchburg residents.
Because they would be paying the money if they were asked to invest in open space.
Yeah. So, and you say besides cost of community services. So that's an interesting statement because cost of community services is a big chunk of what y'all pay for. Is that correct?
I accept it. I didn't know that the rest of it will. I got that part down.
Yeah.
Is there something beyond that?
I would say yes. They're inherently so. So Fitchburg, I think that Fitchburg is very underestimated in terms of its the quality of its open space, and I think that's something that that will only become more valuable as time goes on. Fitchburg is not going to grow any in terms of where the boundaries are for Fitchburg. You are stuck with what you've got. The land you have now is the land you have forever to do all of the things that Fitchburg needs to do. If you're not thinking about it wisely, if you're not conserving the most valuable pieces, you are losing a piece of the most valuable part of Fitchburg, which is the forests, the intact forests. This particular species is 100% in rare and endangered species habitat for a specific species. If Fitchburg can claim to be the haven for biodiversity, something the state has elevated as something important, as well as climate or Forests for Climate Solutions is another huge thing that everyone's talking about at the state. The biodiversity solutions is hugely important, not only for Fitchburg residents, but for the world, the planet. This is something that Fitchburg can be proud of and should be proud of, I think.
Thank you. Just only years ago, the planning board and this commission okayed 140-unit development on that particular site. So that it had value, but value is measured in different ways. Correct. And so it took an individual to value it in a different manner, and
Correct.
I recognize that's a pretty big deal, but I'm one person. We need a city to recognize it,
Yeah.
and do something about it. Maybe that is pony up some money to participate further in the program.
I appreciate that comment, especially since there's so much money out there for conservation and for creative ways to balance housing needs and conservation needs and balance, the community needs as a whole. But we all know state grants, a lot of federal grants, a lot of even private foundation grants, they want to see some match there. They want to see some skin in the game. If this is truly important for the city, it would be great if there was a conservation funding source. I know the water department, John DeLine's done a great job with very little with the matching funds. But even beyond that, there's still a lot of opportunity there, and Fitchburg is really quite special when it comes to its natural history. Something I'm glad that you brought that up.
What do we want? What can we give her? What do they want from us tonight?
We don't know that yet, but we'll work on it. And we're looking for projects all the time. And Fitchburg is unique that we have a vibrant in-town metropolitan area, but we also have rural areas, and we want to protect that. And that's what makes, you can be in town, you can be in the restaurants, you can be in the activities, but you can go a few miles outside of town, and there's green ponds, putts ponds, all the brooks to take advantage of, the open space just to be in nature. And we're very happy to have that opportunity. So we're happy to continue working with you.
Great. So Herlin, I think, had suggested that we re-sign the letter just as a formality. You already had, the commission has already signed on to it back in 2021. We thought it's been long enough. It might be good as just a formality to re-engage the commission. This, again, you've already committed to participate in the program, and the funds have already been awarded. But I want to make sure that we're teammates moving forward, because there's still a little ways to go before we're finalized.
So that makes a lot of sense, because the parties have changed and all of that. So we'll bring that up to date. Herlin, you can work
please don't
with Anna.
sign whatever's in front of you. I will send you the electronic signature request.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the old one, 2021.
Yes.
And you both can work together to see if there are any updates or modifications that bring this up to date.
Yeah, I
And
think
then,
it's-
we can go ahead and sign that.
And Anna met with the current administration and myself, and we are all eager to get this going. I know that I was playing a little bit of devil's advocate during our meeting, but I think it was just to test the waters. I asked a little bit about public access, but I think that the preservation, you have to wait the tables, right? And I think that this is going to be a true essential project to the city.
That's right. Yeah, I would. Thank you. Thank you for that input. Yeah, I agree. And looking at the maps, I think you'll see exactly how important this is ecologically.
Do we have any other questions or comments?
I just have a quick comment.
Sean, go ahead.
I'll start off. I think this is a great project. I think there's a lot of value, not just to the citizens, but to the native species, plants, animals, pollinators that live here. And I think we benefit when they're happy. So just clarification, you said that it takes 1,000 acres for that to be processed, and it sounds like you kind of butchered up parts of central Massachusetts to make that. Is the 140 acres the only property in Fitchburg or local to us that?
No, there's another property that's part of the application that's going to the Department of Fish and Game. And I don't know a lot about that because it's not the tract that I'm working with, but
There's other properties that are.
But there's other properties, and that's the other property in Fitchburg. And then, let's see, there's a lot of Lancaster, Groton, Townsend, let's see, Lunenburg, and Shirley. So it's kind of around, and I'm really pleased that that they recognize how important the headwaters are for the North Nashua. And I was at this is a little anecdote that I think you will all find interesting, that the Merrimack, which our Nashua River runs into, is the most imperiled drinking water source in the region. So what we do here in the headwaters affects people who are drawing their water out of the Merrimack downstream. So if we're not protecting the headwaters and keeping, our wetlands protected, we are actually causing harm to people downstream. So I'm really happy that we're doing this project and part of that solution rather than, so.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anna, thank you very much for your presentation, and we look forward to continuing to work with you.
Thank you, Joyce. Thanks, everybody. Well, hopefully I'll see you all again soon.
Thank you. Commissioner Christian will rejoin the meeting. And I believe next up, we have a group here, 0 Ashby State Road. There's been some clearing and questions about what is going on in that area. And this is just information to bring everybody up to date. Who is here to speak on that? And you are. If you'd step up to the podium, state your name.
My name is Jeremy Ethier, Senior.
I'm sorry, speak into the mic.
Jeremy Ethier, Senior.
Okay.
And I'm here to, I guess, to figure out what's going on with you.
Okay. So this parcel had previously been denied an application to build a single-family home for, I don't have the determination in front of me, but there were issues with the wetlands and all of that. So I understand that you are the excavator, the person that is running
No, there's no excavation, just to clear. There's a mowing head down there, no different than anyone uses anywhere.
Okay.
All we're doing at this point here, all my involvement is to clear back the massive amount of poison ivy and the brush and growth that was in the area flat. It was wetland previously delineated, from my understanding. Those flags, everything is still there. We're not going in there. We're not using a bucket moving it. It's just trying to get the engineers in there to figure out what they're going to do.
Okay.
That was all this was. If I would have thought that for 1 second that amount of poison ivy, I would have had another suggestion for it. This was a huge, huge amount of, here we are.
Okay. And you are abiding by the wetland flags that
I
are
have not
still in
crossed
place.
over any of the original boundary marks that I'm aware of. I just got the whole package to me the other day, which I had spoken to Mike D about, and I found out a lot more about it, just like you have, still reading up on it.
Yeah.
The gentleman isn't going forward with what his previous project was. This is a whole new concept to try to come up. I don't have the answers to those. I will not even begin to guess or even put a spotlight on any of it. All I know is we're trying to clear back just what the brush was and the poison ivy to get the engineers in there.
Are you done the clearing now? Or are you still working on it?
Absolutely. All we were doing was opening up the area that was there. No trees dropped down, no nothing.
Okay. Do we have any public comment that, Councilor Fleming? Yeah, you can if you would. Well, yeah.
So I received several phone calls where we were told that there was going to be a methadone clinic being put in there. This was a threat that's what it was being cleared for. So those were the phone calls that I received. We have a lot of this going on Ashby State Road where people are just clearing land and, without coming here first regarding the wetlands. So I don't know if anybody else would like to speak. These are all the abutters. And there's more that will probably come forward once we realize what's going on.
Once a plan is submitted, yeah. So at this point, I think the clarification, sure, Gerald, I'm hoping for the neighbors in that this has been clarified as far as what's going on right now. And we appreciate everybody letting us know that there are things going on so that we can address it. But as we understand, it's possibly that the landowner wants to have engineers in there, wants to look at filing a new notice of intent, coming up with a new plan, which he can do. And the only way to get in there is to not climb through the poison ivy, but apparently cut it down. So that was fine.
Again, there's a million different ways to get through that, but my suggestion was the least harmful was this machine. Protects whoever's in the cab, the operator. It bounces the area out there to get us in there to be able to set up to find anything in there. I've got a lot more information now than I ever wanted on this, but in order to get where we're going, that's what they're doing, is clearing the exit. We were in and out of there very quickly. I'm just highly allergic to it. My son, everybody involved, nobody wanted to climb through there. So,
Yeah, okay.
you know, the people that did come on, if there is something that's there, there's a sign right out front. I make sure we always put our sign out front so no one gets hurt. When somebody comes walking up on the machine that's mulching, it says stay 300 feet back. It's no different than anything else. So I don't know how everything's going to work. I just know that we were just cleaning up our area so that they can get in there to do theirs.
So we appreciate your explanation. Do any of the, yes, sir, if you would step up? Yeah?
My name is Russ Foster, 115 Ashby State Road.
Now you own the abutting property.
Right.
Yes.
It was my understanding that that property was to stay still. There was to be no tree cutting, no clearing, because he had done it before, and the Conservation Committee frowned on what he had done without asking permission. And here we go again, clearing brush. A lot of it is poison ivy, I agree, but some of it is small sapling trees coming up. And now if you take a look at that piece of land that he cleared, it's now mud. It shows you how much water is coming up from that area. So my concern is that we don't go beyond what he did. And that he was told once before not to touch the land, but he's still doing it.
Right, so we
He's
can,
going to build a house there.
yeah,
And this-
we can send a letter to the property owner, the landowner, and just advise him that he is required to notify the Conservation Commission before any further work or any additional work is done. I think what has been cleared, I don't see was an issue because it's at the furthest point away from the wetland that you can get.
Right.
So, but can we?
I have a little bit of input, but I don't want to be.
No?
I have a little bit of input. So I went to the site. There's a picture that Jeremy had sent me, Mr. Ethier has sent me, and I did see some small machinery that did have some sort of mulcher in the front. According to the plans that were submitted originally, he is outside of the buffer zone, which is allowed work. I'm not sure what was agreed upon of butters, but we also have to find the boundary between the preservation of the Wetlands Protection Act and property owner rights. So if we have to state very clear with that stuff. I got a ton of phone calls about methadone clinics and houses being built, and the city has an order, a process and procedures. We have public hearings. We have open meeting laws. If a house was to be proposed or a methadone clinic, you would have gotten an abutters notice. The proper planning and procedure would have been done. Somebody can't just build the house without the permitting. Can they? Technically, yes. Will they? If this person went through the process of filing an NOI and being denied and not appealing it before, let's trust that they're going to try to do the right thing again before we get a little bit too overexcited. I saw some of the flags still up, and I didn't go on the property because the property owner was not on site, but it did seem like he was well beyond the boundaries of the wetlands, which is allowable work. I just wanted to make that clear for the commissioner, the abutters, and everybody else. And Councilor Fleming, you know that I try to go out and be as amicable as possible. And, you know, maybe this might be something where the abutters can talk to the property owner, and maybe they can come to a mutual agreement. But I don't know if this is jurisdictional for us, if he's outside the buffer zone.
Which it's not. If he's outside the buffer zone, that is not jurisdictional to us. Now, if he intends on building that, I do not have with me tonight the final decision that was made when this project was denied, but the denial of the project would not have come with a condition that says you cannot ever do anything ever again in that lot.
I understand that. It's his property.
Right.
Where the gentleman cleared now, Beyond that point, you'll agree, it drops down like 25 feet. Now we're in the wetlands. Going beyond where he is now is in the wetlands.
But he's not going
I
beyond.
understand that.
Right.
Hearing that tonight made me feel better. But
The only wetland that we're dealing with that's there, that was even there, and I apologize for, is the one that's in between your property and this property, and I had no idea that it was
That's all right,
there.
that's fine,
We
yeah.
did not cross the blue flags, but that wetland is also a man-made wetland. Everybody piped it in there, like you explained to me. Don't crush my pipe. All that water piped in it does not make a wetland. I'm not getting into it, they'll deal with that, but I'm not trying to
Right.
infringe on it.
And I appreciate your-
There was a poison ivy in a situation that was bad.
and I appreciate your cooperation. Like I said, I wasn't out to have a fight.
Hey, we had a conversation that day, I spoke with everybody, no hassles whatsoever.
And my last point is, this land has a history that I passed out to some of the councilors that were, some of the committee members that are here. There are a lot of new members that weren't here at the time, 2 years ago. This history of this land goes back to 1978, before I owned the house, to a Miss Regan. And a house was built up on Fisher Road. And it caused so much damage to Mrs. Regan, who owned the house that I have now, that the septic system had to be replaced. And Mr. Leakes, who was the original owner of the property, who is now passed, had to put in a great amount of money to put in pipes to draw the water away from the house. So we're going back into the same situation. This land is, the last 10 years, 2 people have tried to build on it. We get the same answer: you can't build on it. It's wetlands all surrounding you. You might find a little patch, but around that patch is all water.
So, Mr. Foster, what I will say to you is there is history, and we'll look at that, but we will need to wait and see what is presented
I
to
agree.
us. We cannot judge what we don't have in front of us to judge.
And I agree with that 100%. My concern was when I saw the work being done for the second time, and nobody had any idea what was going on. So as a homeowner next to the property, I was concerned about the wetlands, because I have a pipe that drains the water away from my house. And I put a great deal of money in my land, over $25,000, to keep the water away from my house. Last year, the rain was so bad, I couldn't even mow the back part of my lawn because the water coming off that hill. So I know
And
these are
I
things
can
we'll
tell you,
discuss.
you
We'll
were
discuss it
one
once
of
it goes
many
on.
in the city of Fitchburg that had that same problem. Commissioner Donnelly, would you like to step in here? Do you have a comment?
Yeah, just give it some more perspective, nothing more. That a lot of people saw some work being done, and they were well aware of the Conservation Commission's decision of a year or 3 ago. And so they made the calls because they care about their private property rights and they care about their constituents' rights. And so they made the calls, and I got one of them, so I went over. I met the building commissioner there. I think we should be happy that he responded to the complaints and the concerns. And, excuse me, and I spoke with the operator, and I said, well, informally, I said, cease and desist. I said, you got some people concerned, could you stop? And he did. He stopped. He told me what he told you tonight, cutting poison ivy down, and there was nothing substantial removed. And he had a nice new toy, and he wanted to try it out. This I know. So here we are tonight. I invited the operator to come in tonight to explain what he was doing to the rest of the commission, and that's what you got. So the system's working here. We just don't want to get too, we don't want to ruffle people's feathers, and we don't want to get our feathers ruffled. And we'll proceed like that. You're concerned about him going further than he did? Right. Legitimate concern. We're here tonight to say it didn't happen. It won't happen. He's on notice that it won't happen. And the owner of the property, he knows he was denied, same owner. He was denied, and now he's looking for another alternate use for the property. And that's where we are. So it's not a big deal. The phone calls were made. It could have and should have been made. And things will go forward now above board. You're aware of where the private property owner has his rights. You're aware of his rights, and he'll proceed according to rules and regs that the city has in front of him. I think it's a good system working.
I think it did work well, and all abutters or all neighbors should know that they have any right to, where it's concerning the commission, call the office anytime. Herlin will go out and take a look immediately and see what's going on and make a determination as to what is the extent of work. Is it permitted? Is it acceptable? We're here to help, and on both sides. both for the person that owns the property and for the neighbors and the abutters. So we thank everybody for coming in tonight. When and if the gentleman that owns the property files a new notice of intent because he has an engineering firm that came in and came up with a plan that he wants to resubmit to us, abutter notices will go out. You will be advised of when the meeting is, and you will be able to provide all the comment that you'd like at the time. And we invite you to participate. That's what this is all about.
And if I may reciprocate, you are more than welcome to come to my house. I'm usually home. If you want to take a look at what we're looking at for property and what I'm talking about.
We probably, a site visit will, if and when the gentleman that owns the property does submit a new notice of intent with plans to do that, we will come out and make a site visit, and if you'd like us to look at how, or show us how that might impact your property, we'd be happy to take a look.
We did that 2 years ago, but like I said, there are a number of new members.
Right, so it would be good to see that again.
Yeah.
All right.
If everybody wants a site visit, please let's wait till the foliage dies, because there's so much poison ivy.
Poison ivy's still out there.
If there is a way to do it, and the butters and everybody together, this gentleman, all he's trying to do is recover what he has.
Okay, and the site visit would not be scheduled until he submits a new plan, because at this point, there is no intent to do anything beyond remove the poison ivy. So,
He's trying to come up with a solution where he was made whole on something he thought was going to be different.
Yeah.
If the abutters and everybody here is in conservation, and that lady wants another piece of property, there's 5 acres right there. We can turn it into a farm, we can do a million things there. But he would work into it, and he'd be more than glad to sell it. He just wants to be made whole on it, that's all. That's from my understanding. I can't speak for him, but that was my understanding.
so maybe that's an opportunity, you know. Well, we do appreciate everybody coming and participating. And I think if there are no other questions from the commission or from anyone here, thank you very much for coming in. Okay. Yep. Okay, moving on to our next item.
He kind of likes to stir the pot.
We're going to continue with our next item, so if you would like to move out into the hallway, that would be wonderful. Thank you very much. Thank you all for coming in. Okay.
Caught on fire a couple of years ago. It was a national.
And next up, we are looking at the report of the use of herbicides in Massachusetts. And I know Herlyn supplied us with some information on that. Would you like to summarize where we are?
Actually, I would like for Commissioner Donnelly to take the lead on this.
What? I'm sorry, I had these off. Which part?
The use of glyphosate.
Oh, yeah, sure, no problem. All right, so I just, I said, the last time we left, we said maybe we could, I get that, we could address invasives, take a look at it, and spend a little bit of money on our kitty. And so I got somebody was watching, Tom Christopher was watching our discussion. And he had previously prepared things, so I met him for coffee, and he gave me a copy of that, and I shared it with Herlyn to share with you. When that word comes up, a Roundup comes up, people get timid, they get afraid, and that's to allay some fears about the use of herbicides, and particularly Roundup on vegetation management. So I got that information, and then I made some telephone calls. I've identified several parcels in Fitchburg that might be a good trial run for a program administered by the CONSCOM. Of course, it may have been spurned by the riverfront plan to cut and treat at a later date. That's one of those parcels. I went to the cemetery department, and I talked with the superintendent, and she said she's on board. I told her I'd get deeper into it, but I just wanted to know if she'd want to work with us. And then conservation, Greens Pond has an area with incidental Japanese knotweed, but a lot of Bittersweet. Bittersweet, thank you. So there's a section of bittersweet and incidental knotweed, total knotweed isolated here and over here on several parcels. So then I called two landscapers, and I got a price, just to give you what we're dealing with here. I would leave it to them. It would be my thought to have a program, a 3-year program, and that only means 3 to 6 applications. Let's call it 3 applications in September or thereabouts over the course of 3 years, and then assess where we are at the conclusion of 3 years on that test plot. The cost being anywhere from $250 per application. Kind of a drop in the bucket if we keep it at 100 square feet or 1,000 square feet, something like that. That's 1,000 square feet is kind of a lot. So it could between $250 and $500 3 times, 3 years, and then take a look at it. And if you wanted to entertain that, then I would say, number 1, we'd pick a site, and number 2, we take 2 or 3 or more landscapers down there, certified, licensed, and give us a contract to work on those things there. And then 3 years from now, we reconvene and we see if we were successful. Now, interesting, you can't beat it, and I'll probably agree with you can't beat it, but you can manage it. And you can manage it pretty successfully, my experience. And so I liken that to raking your leaves in the fall, cleaning up your yard in the spring. You do those 2 things once a year. You cut your lawn every dang week during the growing season. You fertilize 3 to 4 times a year on your lawn. What's the big deal about treating knotweed once a year if you're managing it and you have it under control? I think that may be an accepted practice if it gets out of control on people's residential areas. And the reason it's not out of control is that's what they're doing. They're managing it. They cut it and cut it and cut it, and eventually they win, or they at least manage it. So that was my background or my homework, and I think that was one of my jobs before we left 30 days ago. And if there's any interest in pursuing a site as a test site or more than one site, and finding costs associated with that. And I think the timing couldn't be better because we're not going to act until September. So I think we have the time. There's no rush. You talk amongst yourselves. We get back together in August and make a decision. And we still have almost 60 days for them to get out to schedule it. And any input you have, we got plenty of time to share it. Sound like a plan? I don't know.
I think it sounds like a great plan, and it might be that the cemetery property, I mean, that's always been, one of the properties that you've had your eye on for some time. That might be a good place to start because it's contained, we can monitor it, see what happens, because this is a test run to see what's acceptable. I mean, I think that we should pursue it and see where it takes us. Can we do this in a 3-year turnaround and document how it worked and what we did, or what the landscaper did and how they did it, so that we can either do additional places or share that information as need be for those that are trying to remediate knotweed on their property.
Yeah, I think we could talk about it forever, or we can do something, and 3 years is a short window, given that we haven't done anything.
Right.
As long as we have.
I would be in favor of going forward, and it's just a matter of picking the location.
What cemetery?
Was it Laurel Hill?
Yeah, well, no, that's the, I don't know what but it's the one at the Rotary at Franklin Road at Park Hill.
Gotcha.
And the knotweed is, as you
Forest Hill.
Forest Hill. I always think Forest Hill's the one on Laurel Street. What is I don't know which cemetery that is, but,
Because it looks like a hill.
because it looks like a hill, so that
Laurel
makes
Hill.
Forest Hill. And the growth of knotweed is actually in the property across the street, on the side going.
Do they own that property?
Yes, cemetery owns that property.
Yeah, Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Do we know if there's plans to turn that into more cemetery?
I think they're talking about in some near time frame, yes. Because
Is that
they're
right near
running-
the Rotary?
That's at the Rotary, and then
There's
as
like a
you're
little
heading-
dirt, like
Yeah,
a-
there's a little dirt opening, there's always a chain that's
Yeah.
parked there, there's a little brook back
that's
there,
what you were
and the knotweed.
It's my responsibility to bring you a map and show you what I'm talking about here. And I should have, and I don't have it, and I will have it before we go any further, because we haven't chosen the site. These are just, it matters little right now. Do you accept the program? Do you want to try it? If you want to try it, then we'll get hard about location, and I'll get prices on each location from applicants, appliers, all right?
Price varies based on the square footage you were saying?
Yeah, well, I came to give you, I needed something I told them from the hip, give me something. And today I got $250, or as much as $500, depending on what it is, per application. So now you have a number, that's doable. I mean, I might reach in and do that with or without you. So,
And some of that could be depending on the site, because one site may be, 500 square feet, one site might be 1,000, so some of that is until we determine which site we're going to select.
and I'm making right now, as much as I'd like to address the bittersweet at Greens Pond and the incidental knotweed, the truth be known, I think we'd be better off cutting it than we would applying a herbicide. Although someone who's done,
Rotary on front,
there's a big area next to Greens Pond.
where you come in.
I think you could probably manage that by mowing as opposed. So I'm being critical about that. If you don't have to put a herbicide, you don't do it.
But the point of cutting it is to prevent it from going to seed. Is that right? That's the management.
No, cutting it just to manage it. If you had to do it once a year, we could live with bittersweet. It won't go in a year. You're not going to get overrun by it. And Japanese knotweed, if it's there, it's going up. So I have my biases about where we could do it or whatever. I'd share them openly, and everybody can go from there. So what I'm trying to say is that I don't think we should just be spraying anything anywhere there's unwanted vegetation. That it's selective, and I'd love to do. It's not ours. We have land. We have to do it on our own damn land, okay, if we have it. But the riverfront, I think it'd be a great place because you can't miss the results. If you go to Riverfront Park and look down there, you won't. You'll be able to see it first, and other people will as well. But I think this is my opinion and my bias. It's a losing battle on the Nashua River because it travels. So you could get rid of it, but as long as there's soil there for it to latch on, it's gonna float down the river. Nevertheless, you start somewhere, and then we'll make that decision at a later date.
So I think at this point, I think we should entertain a motion to allow Commissioner Donnelly and Agent Jamie to proceed with the follow-up and planning for our next step that we would want to pursue this application.
All I wanted was a vote of confidence. Don't make it formal. Just a vote of confidence. I'll work if my work has any merit. That's all.
But that's fine. Let's just put it on the record. Do I have a motion to proceed with the remediation trial plan?
Motion to proceed. I bring up the motion. Yeah.
Okay, second?
Second.
And then just all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? There being none, the motion passes.
Okay. I had another thing. Can I continue?
Go ahead. Yep.
Yeah, well, 30 days ago, I said that I'd also look into trying to get out of the position of being put in a position of signing off on certificates of compliance at the 11th hour. And so I took my building permit to the building department, and first I went to the tax collector, and I asked them, what legislation, what formality do we sign on? Do we have water and sewer, municipal taxes and water sewer, municipal lien certificates? And can the Conservation Commission get on that municipal lien certificate write-off? So if there's going to be an exchange of property ahead of the sale, it's right there. And I don't know what the answer was, but it wasn't what I was looking for. I went to the building department, and I asked the building department, I had a building, they have a checklist for structural, plumbing, electrical, and other. And each one of the inspectors has to sign off on a building permit for you to get an occupancy permit. And I asked, can we include, if that wasn't a state document and it's a city document, can we include Conservation Commission checkoff? And therefore, the building occupancy permit isn't granted without Conservation Commission checked off. And the response I got was, we're on it. Our new building inspector is doing it electronically and not on a hard copy, and we are on that checklist. I said, well, okay, that's good, all right, and he's going to do it. He says sometimes it hasn't been done in the past, and I said, you're telling me. At any rate, so they will have to sign off before an occupancy permit will be issued, and they said, well, it still doesn't protect our agent. She gets the brunt at the 11th hour. Come on, I need it tomorrow. And what I wanted to do is to take the burden off her, put it where it belongs, on that guy looking for it. So I went to the Westminster Conservation Commission chairman, and I went to the Lancaster former Conservation Commission chairman, and I asked them how they handle these situations. A 3-year stabilization in order for us to sign off on it. And both of them said, we won't sign it. We won't sign off. They're not going to sign off on a certificate of compliance if there's not stabilized soil the night before a scheduled closing. They ain't doing it. So I said, well, now we're back to square one. She still gets the wrath of the guy asking for it. And so they said, well, what do you do? He said, we make it really clear when they get there, their order of conditions. We make it clear when they get their order of conditions that one of the things that we will not be signing off unless that site is stabilized. And it's in bold, it's given to them verbally, and the burden's on them. Now, how do they overcome that burden? How do they do it? They start the landscaping first, not last. And importantly, and I asked this on Gibson Road, that we didn't have an original order of condition. There was a slope. It hadn't been addressed. It was unstabilized soil. I don't care whether it was in the order of conditions or not. If it's unstabilized and it threatened the wetlands, it's a violation of the Wetlands Protection Act, even if it wasn't underneath our order of conditions. Grass mat, because you can get, really, you can get with spraying the lawn, you can get germination and grass in 7 days. It's not the night before, but in 7 days you can get it. But the mat it's even better because it's stabilized. You don't even have to have germination. When the mat's down there, there's an element of stability to a sloped soil. They got to bite the bullet and pay for the mat. It's stable. I mean, I would call that stabilized. I would sign off on it if I knew that. So the burden's on them, but we have to be vocal about it so that they stay off our agent, and so that we don't have to sign off because, and then this is about the owner, not the buyer, but the owner and the developer. They're on notice, and so that's how they're handling it, and we can thank the building inspector, and then we put the burden on us.
It is here that it has no certificate of occupancy, excuse me, or letter of completion will be issued, and it goes on to say, without planning or conservation approval.
So they've been told at building. They've been told at building. They need to be told. We need to tell them. We need to make it clear. It needs to be in bold in our order of condition, although nobody reads it. And then, don't be afraid to well, no, it has to be done not at the 11th hour. We can't deal with it then, we have to deal with it.
This wasn't previously on their checklist, so now it is.
We have a new building committee.
Mike, I don't think you were in that email thread, but just a few days ago, Interim Commissioner Zamel I'm sorry, yes, Building Commissioner Zamel had sent out an email saying that he did add to the building permit some new verbiage stating that the Conservation Commission approval must be obtained before, which in all says you need to have your certificate of compliance from us in order to move on with your certificate of occupancy. And as you guys remember, 2 months ago, we had an extended conversation with an engineer on this same floor about this. So it is very interesting to hear from your perspective that abutting towns and cities do not sign off on them, when that's what I was trying to state.
It doesn't get her off the hook. That bold stance doesn't get our agent off the hook. What gets her off the hook is on the issue, on the order of conditions.
Right.
On the order of conditions, every one of us has to go right down the line and say it. Did you hear it? And you say, did you hear it? And that's it.
So another thing that I have been implementing is pre-submittal meetings where I review applications with applicants, and the first thing I tell them is, you will not get a certificate of compliance unless you have met X, Y, and Z. So before you even propose this project, make sure that you are aware of the phasing that needs to happen, or else you're not going to be able to get a certificate of compliance from us.
Do you think my comment, because I read it in the minutes, of the solar array on Ashburnham Street was, do you think it registered when I said finish the detention ponds and swales before you start on the project? Everybody, they make it accommodation for runoff, but it's unfinished. It's just a hole in the ground. Finish it so the vegetation can do its job. I don't know if it was, he heard, but I don't know if he registered. What I'm looking for is get the site finished. A cul-de-sac. Go in, put a road in, bing, 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 then place the houses. But everything else is all nice and neat. Any community of value, they do that. You see a whole finished landscape design on the roadway and the street lights and everything, and then the houses go in. Who wants to move into a community where it's, half-assed for how many years? They pay when all of that infrastructure work is done.
And I think you're absolutely right. We need to reinforce with the builder or the developer that's in front of us, one, that this is what's going to be required of you all along the way, and two, your certificate of compliance is not going to be issued until all of that is met. Now, the problem with that is that they're transferring the deeds anyway. So we're working on how to address that. But without the occupancy permit, they can't, because some banks are allowing the deeds to transfer without the certificate of compliance. But a bank will not allow that deed to transfer without an occupancy permit. So this is going to go a long way to compliance because of that. Because if they can't sell the property, they're going to have to come into compliance very quickly.
And there's no money in doing the infrastructure work. They want to get paid for the house, and then it's always incidental. And then you run out of money at the tail end. You run out of money.
Right, and it doesn't get done.
So all we can do is what we can do, and we have to be vocal about it. And let's do that. Let's put up a good front that's what we're looking for before you start banging any nails, pouring concrete or whatever. Once the concrete's done, they can grade. Don't tell me they can't grade. They backfill, and then they can start to stabilize the soil.
Well, and you're right. Then write it into our order of conditions that needs to be done.
They don't read them. I think it is in there, stabilized soil. It is in there, but we need to give them a phase. Actually,
Exactly, that's right. That's what I'm saying. Write it in the order of condition that detention basin needs to be completed first. Or they're not in compliance, and then you can issue fines because they're not in compliance with the order of condition.
Yeah, I think you hit it on the head there. Yeah, that's what discussion does.
Tell them it's got to do. Just tell them that's what they got to do. And that comes from you saying that the other towns tighten up their order of conditions and they're very specific. So let's do the same thing. you know, in the first 3 months, you got to have the detention basin built and stabilized before you proceed with the next step, or you're going to be in violation, and hello, here come the fines.
And another thing, it hasn't happened because we haven't had the huge developments of late. But when we've had some big developments, they go and clear too much. Other communities, they go in and they put 8 in and they finish them, and the roadway is a cul-de-sac, and then they go off it, and then they continue 8 more. But they finish up a project, and then they branch off and they do another 8. The value's not there. If they could do 16 at once, it's cheaper than doing 8 at a time. You know, it's cheaper to, you get a machine in there and bang, you can go right through. We haven't had that problem, but that has been a problem in the past.
But some of that's not in our jurisdiction to say how many they can do at one time.
Yeah, planning, well,
Order of conditions?
Right, well, even in the order of conditions, because it's not in the Wetlands Act to tell them.
yeah, you're right,
that
it's a planning, it's a planning.
Right, that's a planning and zoning board application, I would think.
And I didn't bring in tonight, but I found it the other day, the ordinance, 1979, 99, doesn't matter, 97, the erosion control ordinance. Land clearing, not erosion control, stormwater management. I got the ordinance there, I just came across it. And it put the CONSCOM in charge.
So CONSCOM is in charge of the appeals right now. So this is actually something that's within the works internally. So I had reached out to both DPW, planning, the mayor, and building, and we want to sort of develop a land disturbance subcommittee. Because I don't think that it is appropriate to have us be the appeal party when we don't get to see the projects up front. So if somebody files a stormwater permit through DPW and it gets denied, then they come to us for the appeal.
But we had no participation in the initial
Correct.
entry.
Well, that was a bone of contention with the current DPW chairman. He said he wanted to throw it off on us, and I said, hey, keep it yourself. We're a bunch of volunteers. Keep it in the staff right there. But I came across the ordinance the other day, and it was from the get-go, it was us. I didn't know that.
For the appeal.
The appeal, all right. Yeah.
So if somebody appeals it, they have to come forth in front of us. But I think that if we develop a land disturbance subcommittee where we can address these projects or these permits before they go to any other committee or commission or the ZBA, and we can address problems that pertain to planning, conservation, DPW ahead of the game, then we can avoid these long, dragged-out conversations.
Okay, something to pursue and keep working on. So we have one additional item. We have the minutes from the April 3rd, 2024 meeting. Does anybody have any comments or changes or additions, deletions? I've looked at it, they're fine to me.
Mr. Best is on his way, right? Sheldon Road, Best, the shed, he's on his way. He's got the green light.
Yes, because we modified the previous order of condition for Barclay Enterprises.
Yeah, the appeal period lapsed the 29th of last month, so last week, and he reached out to me, and I just said he just needed to record the modification, but he is going to wait for the start of construction because he has some personal activities happening in his yard, and he doesn't want construction while there, so.
Okay, so if there are no changes, modifications, or deletions to the minutes provided of April 3rd, 2024, do I have a motion?
Motion to accept the minutes.
Second? All in favor? Any opposed? There being none, minutes are approved. That gets us, Elaine, do you have anything else for tonight? Do I have a motion to,
Those were original, he never put them, and he put the stairs,
yeah,
house right now.
Commissioner Donnelly, are you all set out down there? Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Yeah, motion to adjourn. I'm going to run one thing by you, but we can adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? There being none, we are adjourned.